trust the youth and let them make some mistakes on their own. They almost always respond.
You personally invested into this community specifically.
Every time that they take their jobs too seriously, they're putting people to work.
What were the big conversations that you were hearing? Hey, there's something broken here and we have to fix it. From South Bend to Evansville and everywhere in between, this is Get In, the show focused on the Hoosier State and the incredible stories happening here today. I'm Nate Spengel, founder of Get Indiana, and I will be your host for today's conversation. All right, folks, if you're in the mood for some seriously good eats, let me tell you about the HC Tavern and Kitchen in the heart of the Fishers District. It's the spot whether you're grabbing a business lunch, brunch with friends, a romantic dinner, or just hanging out and enjoying some cocktails. They have huge culinary classics like the world-famous St. Elmo shrimp cocktail and the filet sliders, as well as dishes you can only find at the HC Tavern, like the lobster cargo and the spinalis steak. I mean, come on, does it get better than that? And you know what's awesome? It's right near all the action, close to the Fishers Event Center, IKEA, and Topgolf. So no matter what your day's looking like, a stop at the HC Tavern and Kitchen just makes sense. The vibe is super welcoming with a touch of class. Perfect for any occasion, whether you're out with friends or making it a date night. So whether you're in the area looking for a fun night out or looking for a place to grab a bite after shopping, swing by the HC Tavern and Kitchen. You'll see what I'm talking about. Good vibes, amazing food, and amazing hospitality. Now let's get back into it. Today I'm joined by Ryan Hasbrook, the founder and CEO of 811 Group, the parent company for Brooksource, Metasource, and Calculated Hire. With deep Indiana roots and a passion for people, Ryan transformed a humble, I think it originally started as a basement startup here in Broad Ripple into a thriving multi-divisional enterprise that champions relationships and community impact across 25 different states. Today we're going to be talking about founding of 811 Group. Their office was just around the corner originally here. What's next on the horizon, the growth, the scale, the incredible building that's been built here in the heart of Broad Ripple. And we're just going to talk about what they're doing to build this Broad Ripple resurgence. So Ryan, welcome to Get In.
Thanks for having me, Nate.
Dude, I'm excited. So this is, we're going to put it out on the table to start. Ryan's a Cathedral guy. I'm a Chittard guy. But today we are going to be friends as we get prepared for the state run for wrestling. Everyone who listens knows that I kind of hint back to being a coach all the time.
He's done a masterful job transforming the Chittard wrestling program, I will say.
Wow, that's big. That's big coming from those guys.
One of the best teams ever this year.
Yeah, we're making it happen, man. So you grew up, went to Cathedral, been a Broad Ripple, Meridian Kessler guy.
I haven't branched out very far. Yeah, I went to St. Luke, I went to Indiana, went to Cathedral. So I used to, in the old days when the Monon was not developed, we used to jump off the rail tracks when we were kids and have dirt trails over here and everything. So yeah, I haven't gone very far.
Which I totally respect and I love that. So then you come back from IU. Come back to, and was it the goal always to be an entrepreneur?
I had it in my family. One of my grandfathers was an entrepreneur, and my dad was a corporate Aon guy for 35 years, and he didn't love it. And he said, if you got a passion for it, you should go for it. So I started off with the largest staffing company in the country called Allegis Group out of Indiana. I worked there for almost 4 years until I was 26. Got married and worked up in St. Joe, Michigan for a couple years before moving back to Indianapolis. But I worked here at a college for 2 years at Keystone the Crossing and then moved up there for a couple of years.
All right, in staffing?
Yep.
So were you on the recruiting side or the sales side?
In our business, we start everybody off in recruiting, and that's kind of the mantra that we build our business at. And I started recruiting environmental staffing folks like oil spill cleanup folks, and then I moved into selling engineering, so contract engineering, electrical, mechanical, and then that was the dawn of the computing Y2K. So computers are just coming on desks. Like when I was a junior in college, we had the internet came out when I was a junior in college. So we were literally starting to put PCs on desks at that point. So that's how old I am. Yeah.
Well, and I think a lot now you guys focus on healthcare with Metasource
So
and then 811
Our
Group.
Brooksource division is primarily IT staffing and consulting for the Fortune 500. Metasource is more health IT staffing for all of the 400 or 500 health systems nationally. And Calculate is all non-IT business staffing, so accounting, finance, legal, that kind of thing.
Gotcha. And I think we had a crew from NCW on not too long ago, and they were kind of in they call them hammer swingers. They're in the business of staffing hammer swingers, and this is the button pusher IT type.
This is kind of a one-off of Deloitte or Accenture, if you will. It's kind of the highest rung of temp labor, basically. So you think Kelly Services or Manpower, we're like that, but we're on the technical side.
Okay.
So it's all contract labor.
And so you're living in St. Joe, Michigan, and then you move back to Indianapolis you're married and you start your
my
career
wife
here?
at the time worked for Lilly, so I sold IT staffing during Y2K to like Whirlpool and the nuclear plants up in along the coast of Southwest Michigan. It snowed like crazy. We didn't love it, and our numbers were both really good. So she put in for a transfer back to Indianapolis, got it immediately, and within a month or two. So I was like, well, instead of coming back to work for the company, I'm going to start this business, which is doing very similar things. So if you think back to Y2K, like you couldn't find anybody to do technology work. So we were getting younger and younger. My old company, like pulling kids out of colleges and such to put PCs on desks, image them, et cetera. And so nobody could find anyone. So I was like, well, let's just do this full time. So we decided, we came back here and started hitting the colleges, started hitting all the way down to high school level and pulling kids out of working at Taco Bell, but they could build a PC from the ground up. They were making $8 an hour. We could pay them $15 an hour, bill the companies $30 an hour when they are otherwise using Compaq and Dell and HP, who was billing them $150, $175 an hour for the same labor and support.
This is to like
We started as technical youth. Okay, so like we were doing internships and co-ops exclusively for the first 2 years. So we would go down to IPY or Rose-Hulman, Purdue, and we'd pull someone out of their National Society of Black Engineers or Society of Women Engineers or whoever it was, and they all had the technical skills to build PCs. So we would take them and we put them into Lilly, or they were too big at the time, but like a Conseco or a Community Hospitals of Indiana. And instead of Compaq or Dell, we'd save them tons of money. And you have to remember the frame it was the Y2K bubble burst. So everybody was losing their rears at the time. So this was a really nice, cost-efficient solution, and we had nothing to lose. So we didn't care about our margins as much. So we kind of infiltrated that whole PC labor market at the time.
Okay, so you're finding these young technical youth, right?
Terrible name in retrospect. But
well,
whatever. Yeah.
And then you're going and finding the corporate contracts to build, like physically, like assemble computers.
Yeah, unbox them, image them. They would buy hardware directly from Dell or whoever, and then Dell didn't have the folks to install them. So
back in the day, like they didn't just like come assembled.
You had to populate them with all the data from the companies, et cetera, et cetera. So we did that. I mean, we did other things like website design. So like front end designers, people doing like simple as HTML. They needed folks like that. We did computer operations where they're babysitting servers.
The younger generation that maybe learned on computers, like learned about this stuff, were passionate about it, and finding them corporate opportunities.
They're always the most savvy, right? I mean, my kids are coming through. They know way more about everything than I do.
Well, it all comes from like AI right now. It's like, well, these kids are using it to to game whatever system.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so they're like coming out like, oh yeah, I know how to prompt engineer Chat GPT to do my homework and make it look like it's. And I'm like, dude, you're crazy.
100%. Yeah.
So you're going through there, and that's 2 years. It's technical youth, and then where does that kind of start to? You see it where you need to shift.
So they loved our folks, and so they're like, can you do a mid-level engineer? Can you do a senior level Oracle database administrator or a network engineer? And so we're like, yeah, we can. So then we had to rebrand, and so we launched a company at the time called BrightSource, which is Broader IT and Engineering Source. We ended up getting sued for that name because there's another BrightSource. We didn't get sued, but we were threatened of it, so we had changed our name then to BrookSource. And so at around January of 2003, we launched what became BrookSource. So that did all middle tier and high end technical support. So we still had our technical youth group that did kind of entry level and junior folks, and then BrookSource did mid and senior. And so between those two groups, we could do anything within technology staffing.
And how big was the team in those early years?
This is our 25th anniversary. So I just gave a speech on stage 2 weeks ago at our national conference. So in 2002, we had 11 employees.
Pretty quick growth.
It's 600,000 in our first full year. We did $1.3 million in our second year in revs.
Is that 11 employees including the?
No,
so it's 11 internal employees.
Internal, yeah. So we probably had another 25 or 30 consultants.
Wow.
Yeah.
So who was like the OG team, like first day?
Your friend here, Dan Hanrahan, was my first employee, and he was unbelievable. It was unbelievable luck finding that guy. We found him at X420 at Kelly School when we were going down to look for techies, and so we would go do resume reviews and mock interviews. And at the same time, we had a really good beat on, the whole undergraduate population at IU and Purdue and all these places. So I was interviewing Dan at an X420 resume review one night, and I was like, what are you doing after this? He's like, I got a couple offers for insurance. I've got this and that. And I was like, hey, we got a little 2-man shop. I was like, it's in Broadway. It's on Broadway Avenue. I was like, I don't know if you're into technology, but, you know, we think we're going to make it big one day. And he's like, let's do it. So that was a big moment for us.
I mean, and Dan's just like the all-time hustler.
He is. He's one of the most genius entrepreneurs in this city for sure.
Just like go. Like he figures out a way.
He's a tinker for sure.
Yeah, which I think is and I think that you guys have done a really good job. If we like briefly flash forward to where 811 Group is today, you have done a really good job of owning undergraduate, like people graduate college and like their first job, and you like train them up
it's
to
work
fit
for
in.
us. So let's say you think of it, we have 1,100 internal employees now. Our average age still with 1,100 employees is 27 years old. Yes.
I mean, I have some of my friends like a decent, and they don't leave. Like they stay for a long. So I bet like 5-10 years ago that number was even lower.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
I always used to like
ticked up a bit. Yeah,
I would like talk to them and I'm like, where are the adults?
Partner's the oldest person in the company at 51, and I'm second oldest at 50. So last year, I think, and I'm setting myself up from an age discrimination case probably, but last year we had 17 40-year-olds in the company.
Dude, I mean,
Isn't that crazy?
But the piece to that, right, is like to win with young talent is your training and development.
100%. So we're all 100% organic growth. All our presidents started off as a recruiter. Our 3 presidents, they all started off in the recruiting chair, like my partner and I did. And everybody that's come through has started off that way. And so we've
Well, you've never hired anyone? Like you've never had a...
Well, now that we have a sprawling corporate HQ, certainly now we have some legal folks and some folks that have not come organically. But as far as the field goes, yeah, they've all come up organically.
So everyone has started by yes. trying to get someone a butt in a seat staffing
yes.
a job.
Yes, 100%.
Dude, and was that like intentional? You're like, you got to know what it feels like
it works in my previous employer, and I emulated most of that, and it's worked really well for us too.
Man, and so you get Dan as that first employee.
Yep.
You grow to 11 and do $600K in revenue year one. Like,
yeah, Dan was a great salesperson, and Dan and I sold Carly Oakley. I don't know if you know her or not. She was my second employee. So I mean, we got so damn lucky with those first 2 employees, and then they spawned all these other just amazing folks after that. So yeah, I mean, numbers kind of took off. I split my territories. I gave Dan Carmel, and then I would continue to sell downtown, east, west, south, and then as people came up, I would transition my territories out to different folks around, and they all hit it big.
And you're doing super well there. Like things are starting to go. What was the first moment when you, kind of realized we have something here?
I think I think about 25 million in revenue, I think you're too big to kind of fail, honestly. Like, and we hit 250 is a whole nother ball game. So like you can lay people off and stuff at 25 million and still make it. But like as far as like making it, I mean, when I got my first paycheck, it came to the P.O. box at Bacon Station Post Office, and it said First Indiana Bank, and I opened it up, and looking at that check, it was for $2,500, and I was like, okay, this business might pop. So,
like your company is paying you a paycheck.
We sell, and we have a contractor working for us. Our first contractor, our second contractor, our first paying contractor was a guy named Dan Simon at First Indiana Bank, which became BMO. And they were the first person. So I opened a P.O. box at Bacon Station over here, and that's what we used. And so I would go there every day just to collect whatever, free pens and stuff that we were getting solicited at the time. And then the first paycheck came, and I was like, okay. I was like, we're getting checks.
Oh, like, yeah,
we got cash flow.
Oh, this is like back before like Stripe or like automatic payments. Like you're getting, you gotta.
We still have 20% that pay by hard check.
No way.
Still don't ACH, yeah. 20%.
So I think how it works, and I'm not totally sure, but it's like you put someone in there and they're paying you like a bi-weekly paycheck or whatever, and you're paying your person.
Weekly payroll, yeah.
Okay.
Our weekly payroll is $10 million now.
You have $10 million.
It's probably closer to 12, actually.
That's withdrawn from your,
Isn't that huge numbers? And that's crazy, man.
And you think about cash flow of like let's say if your payroll processes on Thursday, but you get a hard check on Friday, it doesn't get deposited until Monday. Like there's some
float there, yeah.
Dude,
no
that
question.
is...
Yeah.
And so how many employees get a paycheck?
15,000 hourly contractors last year.
Plus another 1,100 internal staff.
Correct.
16,000 people are getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
So like the first kind of like, wow, we've got something here moment is you get the first internet bank.
It was First Indiana.
First Indiana Bank. Yeah. Boom, you got, okay, we have something. We got some cash flow.
Yes.
That's a good feeling as a business.
Yep.
Then, you're advancing 11 employees. Like you got a real team. That's awesome.
Yep.
And then where does like this exponential growth start to come through?
So I had a friend that I worked with in the old days that got laid off through the Y2K bubble, and he called me out of Michigan. His name was Jonathan Eldridge. In fact, he just retired last week. after 23 years. But
From 8/11?
our first retiree, yeah. So it was an exciting moment. Yeah, it was great. So he called me and he's like, hey, I'm down on my luck. I'd love to start technical youth in Michigan. I don't know. We don't have much cash flow, back to cash flow. So he flipped a coin and he worked out of his house for 3 or 4 months. We got a little 400 square foot office in Novi, Michigan. And we started selling in Detroit. And he was great. I knew he was a known quantity and he did pretty well and grew it. At the same time, Dan Hanrahan, who I just spoke about, was kind of getting his oats to go out and expand too. And so he wanted to go to Cincinnati for no other reason than he loved the Cincinnati Reds. So
that's the most Dan thing.
It is,
Ryan,
yeah.
I really like the Reds.
Yeah.
Can I go to
Yeah, he's like, why Cincy? He's like, man, I'm a big Reds fan. And I was like, okay, Dan, whatever you want, honestly. You're a stud. You do you.
And it's like you could just send. And I don't. Who's the first guy that just retired?
Jonathan Eldridge.
Jonathan Eldridge. Like I have to imagine you start a market. It's just you. Like you got to have just some entrepreneur chops, right? To like go move to Cincinnati or go into Michigan.
No
like,
question.
Now we're doing this
on a pretty unknown company. You know, we were not on the scene yet at the time, so it took a lot of risk for both those guys.
What's the training or equipment? Like what do you send them out into the field with? You're like, hey, soldier, go make it happen.
A PC and we had a little purple book that itemized all the CIOs and technology officers for all the companies across the country, and we basically were just out of a basically IT phone book, and we would just cold call basically and have these. I mean, our marketing was so ass. It was like Microsoft Publisher, and I was doing a lot of the marketing and sending them out, and they were just. I mean, it was terrible. But in our business, you buy from people. It's not like a brand. It's not like you're selling pharmaceuticals or dishwashers. You're selling yourself, and so they're buying from the person across the table. So
Lilly, for instance, or whoever, they don't work with just one firm.
No,
right?
No, they've
so
got
it's
monster vendor lists.
You get like an at bat. So it's like you're selling them to give you the at bat. Then you got to go fill it with someone that is going to do a good job at the role.
No question. Yeah, it's a lot of moving parts, and everybody thinks they're worth different things. Their wives think they're worth different things. So it's a lot of it's just a lot of moving parts all the time. Whether they mesh with their managers or directors, or whether they think they're underpaid or overpaid, whatever. There's just a lot going on all the time.
JC Hart Company is your answer to navigating the apartment rental journey. With almost 50 years of creating enjoyable living experiences in Indiana, you'll be sure to find your new home sweet home. You're going to find 30 communities in the best areas Indiana has to offer. Hamilton County, downtown Indy, Bloomington, just to name a few, along with 5 brand new luxury communities. Visit homeisjchart.com/Nate to find their list of locations and reach out to one of their many dedicated leasing agents for a personalized tour. Tell them Nate sent you, and they're going to take good care of you. Looking for a career in property management? You'll also find a list of open positions on their website, along with all the reasons why JC Hart is named one of Indiana's best places to work. Want a sneak peek into life as a JC Hart resident or associate? Be sure to check them out on Instagram at homeisjchart or visit homeisjchart.com/Nate. One more time, home is JC Hart. Okay, what do you think the secret sauce to growing a big organization like 811 is, right? Because it is at the core of the business, it is get new companies to give you job recs, fill the job recs, make a margin in there.
Well, it sounds cliche, but it's obviously culture. I mean, you make it fun, you make people enjoy their jobs. That usually transferable to actually going out and selling. They see somebody that likes their job, and they're more apt to buy from them.
I mean, you guys do, at least the Metasource. I know the Metasource culture very, very well. Like I have a bunch of friends that work there.
All the same.
Dude, they love each other. They're friends.
Yeah, they're all friends.
Like
I was, it's been amazing.
I was the best man in Cade Jones and Mahala Roscoe's wedding.
Okay. Yeah,
and
a baby, right?
Coming soon.
Yeah.
I think in the next couple of months. I just remember there's like half of we're a DePaul crew, so it's like half the room is DePaul, half the room is Metasource, and it was so much fun.
Yeah,
like they legitimately are best friends, and not because they're forced to, because they like to hang out, and the culture is just so good there.
We spent a lot of time and effort fostering that, though. I mean, we're like next week we're taking 770 people to Cancun. Our top 3rd or 4th percent of our producers, with +1. So like we've done that for, this will be our 20-30 year doing a reward trip. So
you started a rewards trip. This would have been early on then.
All of our company at the time, which was all of our salespeople at the time, which was 6 of us, to Jamaica, to a sandals. It was like, I don't know, all in like $5,000 for the whole company trip. Now it's like God knows what, multiple millions. But so we started doing that early, and we're like, if you're selling for us, we're going to take you. And then it was like, well, you got to qualify. And now it's like our qualification is through the roof, and people are still hitting it. So it's been Yeah, that's been a really
That's an interesting thing, or I think a really cool thing. You talk about culture, because I've seen the pictures and the videos. Like, I mean, I'll just like put it out there. Like Mount Joy is performing.
Yeah, that was a splurge. That was a splurge. That was after 2022 when we grew 80% that year.
So take me through the iterations then of like, you're doing well, you know, you hit $1 million in a couple years, and that's like a big milestone. And then you say you get to 25 million. How many years did it take you to get to there in revenue?
Probably year 7-ish or 8-ish, somewhere around there.
And I think a lot of people forget like 7 years of doing anything.
Yeah.
Like I haven't been in the workforce for 7 years,
know.
right? Like people are like, you got to put in a lot of effort, and then you're like, okay, we're big enough now at 25 where like you can mess it up. Like you maybe not grow as much, but you're not going to go to zero tomorrow.
You can scramble and survive.
Yeah. So then you hit that 7 years in, and then you said getting from like to 10x from there.
Yeah.
How long what did it take to get to 250?
We're in 35 states now. You know, we just started following people. So we started Detroit, then we started Cincinnati, then we started Louisville, then we started Chicago, started Philadelphia. We chased people at the time. We had no business in those cities. So we were just like, hey, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? We trust you. We believe in you. We're going to fund this. And then when we got big enough and we started becoming a regional player, we started to get bigger and bigger companies. Like, so for Amazon, for instance, we're doing all the Amazon data centers nationally. So we got that out of Seattle. Our biggest opportunities are in Washington, D.C. They're building the largest data center in the country in Washington, D.C. right now. So like those kind of, like we would have never known about that unless we were in Seattle. So it's just those kind of opportunities kind of started to spawn each other, and kind of took off from there, really.
Through the pandemic, right? Like if we fast forward, like things are going well. You guys had that office up kind of like Keystone at the Crossing area, or up around there. Then like, I mean, pandemic hits, and from what I've researched and seen, like things went very, very well through that time.
I mean, we stumbled onto contract tracing business. So we were tracking little Johnnies in K through 12s, and if someone got sick, we had to call the classes, and a lot of more manual clerical stuff, but it ended up being about $100 million in business for us during that time. So that really got us through a little downtick in the regular static business. That got us through when some of the stuff fell off. The other unintended consequence of COVID was it made everybody remote. So we would often struggle to get like a senior technical developer to like Louisville, Kentucky to Humana. Like they lived in San Jose or something. They were a Silicon Valley guy, for instance. So now when COVID happens, all these IT groups all became remote. And so we could have a guy that was in Phoenix, Arizona, work in Jacksonville, Florida for one of our clients down there. And so that really opened up a lot of opportunities for our tech community.
And you said 80% growth?
Everybody, it is funny money, and it is all Fed money, basically, which is why we have such horrible inflation now. And we were too big to get any of the PPP money. So we kind of backdoored our way into, getting some of that Fed money, but we were doing the work on the backside of that.
Yeah.
Like we did for instance, we got like a $20 million contract with the city of Las Vegas. We did all of Las Vegas, Clark County's K through 12 schools in the entire county.
And you're staffing the contact tracers?
Yeah, in that case. Now that all went away. We knew that was a cliff, and so we also lost $100 million in 2023.
Yeah, and that's hard for forecasting. Where you're like,
yeah, it was our first negative year ever. We had positive for 23 years, and then in 23 we lost 13%. So we were like, oh boy, but we knew it was a cliff. We grew 40% and 80% in 21 and 22.
And I think that those are big businesses already at that point.
Yeah,
like that's a huge. Yeah. How long have you been planning the new development here in the new office?
We were up at Keystone the Crossing, and we were in two different buildings, but two different floors. So everybody's running around everywhere, and we're like, let's do this. Let's get under one roof. And so we're like, where to do it? We looked at a couple, buying one. The Duke building was getting ready to go for sale there at Keystone, and we're like, let's build. What the hell? And so we decided to come back to our roots here, and we found 4 plots of old hair salons over here, and we built this 5-story beautiful building. And so it's been awesome. We've got an awesome rooftop overlooking the city, and we have a 100-person world-class training center, and then we have really 4 floors, 3.5 floors we have a Metasource floor, a Brook Source floor, and basically a corporate floor, which will soon outgrow. So we might be building on this very spot here in a couple of years. So.
I know. So for those who don't know, I am in one of their auxiliary buildings on the campus, and I do remember one of the opening things was, but just so you know, like there might be a time where we're like, you got to get out of here. And, you know, it's been good to me.
We'll give you a couple year notice. How
Yeah,
about that?
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, you guys have kind of, and you personally have been just a pillar in Broad Ripple and have really invested into this community specifically.
Yeah, you know, the older I get, it's more of a community service thing for me, like purpose-wise. Like our businesses are doing great, and I don't know. It's been I care about this area. I care about Indianapolis first of all. I love the state. I love the city, and then certainly this is a little microcosm of Indianapolis that we can really make an impact on. So we've got some big plans for Broad Ripple coming up. We have 300 and a little more than 300 employees next door. We need to probably double that in the next five years. So we're going to be out of HQ2 right here. We're buying the Vogue parking lot, I think Friday or a week from Monday.
The big one that's out back
Yeah,
here?
we're going to put a 4-story parking garage right here.
Do you hire the towing company? Is that
No, not yet.
Who
No,
works? Because whoever they are,
the Vogue guys.
dude, they go crazy.
They go hog wild on
Last Friday, I saw them. I think there was a show or something Thursday night.
Yep.
Friday, dude, 2 tow trucks in there just ripping cars out.
I haven't understand the pace of that because they never towed there for years and years.
No, and randomly one day, they never towed. Like they were just like pretty chill.
Yeah.
And it was a free lot.
Yeah, right.
And then the signs go up. It's like $5 or whatever it is.
Yep.
And they started ripping. And one day, I can't make this up. I saw someone getting towed, and I took a picture and put it on my Instagram story. And I was like, man, that's going to make a tough Friday. I paid for parking. I misspelled one character on my license plate, towed my shit. Same night.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, literally karma. I posted this about someone else's Friday being bad, and I got towed.
I don't know what the income numbers are for the actual parking, so I'll be able to tell you in a few weeks, but I don't know how rigid we're going to be with that. I mean, the plan is to get going on this sometime before the end of the year. So
I have a whole video. It got like 250,000 views about me getting towed out of there. And they're like, yeah,
really?
don't park there.
Yeah,
Don't park. Like
there
everyone.
There you go.
So parking garage.
Yep.
Is that more for employee
So
parking?
we have somewhere in the Hopcat building. We have about 150 spots rented. We rent another 100 from the Vogue, and we have 62 spots below our building here. That doesn't really satisfy even our current workforce cars. So we're going to put about 363 parking spots here in the garage. And then we'll probably still use some of the Hopcat. That'll really relieve a lot of our stress on our parking situation.
And so the plan is to continue to build the campus, your HQ2 here, and really invest in this section. There's also, I mean, I think you're involved with the OPT and a few other places
yeah, we
there.
own a couple. Well, indirectly, we own a couple buildings. We thought we were going to have to build a parking over OPT building, so we were going to demolish it and build parking there. And then we found some remedies. So yes, we indirectly own the OPT's building, and we'll own these B shops here now that come with this Vogue parking lot. Not sure what's going to go on with that yet, but I know all the I know all the business owners here. We've got a lot of passion for Broad Ripple. So all the bar and restaurant owners, we have kind of a vision to make Broad Ripple kind of like a baby Broadway, like Nashville. Let's get so we got. I'm pretty sure Clayton Anderson's going to put a honky tonk in the mine shaft. They're going to convert the mine shaft to Clayton Anderson's. I think he's going to call it Ripple Rodeo or something. I don't know.
All right, wait. Before we get, maybe you are. That's already in
maybe I
motion.
shouldn't break it.
No, I love that. I think that's sick. I want to have the Hoosier honky tonk.
Oh yeah, well let's do it.
Let's get some pieces going together.
Do you think there's any dueling honky tonk bars in Nashville Broadway? Let's have some dueling bars.
The Hoosier honky tonk.
All right.
I think that is like I have always dreamed of that because I love country music. I'm a big country music guy. There's nowhere to listen to it.
Yep.
There's Duke's on the South Side, but that's like no covers.
Yeah.
Then there's 8 Second Saloon, and like that's a whole experience.
Well, Clayton's biggest asset is he's tied into the Nashville country scene. So they're going to probably put another one downtown where the old Hard Rock Cafe is now.
Is it just Clay? Like who's he linking up
Steve
with?
Wendland, who owns OPTs and owns Rock Lobster, Mine Shaft, and Average Joe's. That's kind of his group. He's got another group with a couple other investors in that, but he's kind of taking the pride on that side of the street on top of OET. So he also owns Main Street up on 96th Street. He's a good operator. So he's gonna work on that stuff.
Who's the quarter?
Mike Cranfield really is kind of the brains behind it. I shouldn't say that because John, sorry, but he's the operator. He also owns Cholita.
Yeah.
So Cholita and Quarter are owned by the same guys.
Because I mean, obviously, it's no surprise to anyone. Like Broad Ripple's had a little bit of a rough go. Like I moved here in 2019, and it used to be It was vibrant.
So we had COVID, right, in 2020. And before COVID was happening, they were going to redo all of the sewers on Broad Ripple Avenue because they hadn't been redone since 1950. So when it rained, like tenants would actually get sewage in their on their storefronts. COVID hits, they put everything on pause. This project goes on pause. They come back after COVID and they dig into the road and they figure out the city didn't know this somehow, but all the railroad ties, the rail trails were buried under the actual concrete. So when they went down, then they had to go dig up all of the actual rail ties on Broadway Avenue to get into this to redo all the sewers and the water. So that took another year and a half project. So Broadway was down for about 2.5 years, and during that time it was fenced up. It brought in some riffraff and brought in, the bars started to struggle, so they brought in promoters. Promoters brought in some bad citizens, and we had a murder in 2022, and that was super uncommon. But for whatever reason, Broadway gets a ton of press, from everywhere, from Carmel. Like everyone always talks about Broadway, primarily because a lot of people grew up here. And as soon as that happened, man, it just got a black eye. The same time Carmel's emerging, Mass Ave was popping, and so a lot of that traffic went elsewhere. I will tell you now, it is completely clean, completely safe, and all we have to do is repopulate it. And we're going to do that with all these new bars and restaurants that are going to be coming to the Strip.
That is the one thing too. I think this is 2019. I graduate college, and it was like hour-long waits outside of all the bars. Yep. Like the line from Piano Bar would go around, down, and everywhere. Like it was crazy. Yep. And we would like come out of that, stumble out of there, walk home like a mile. Like it was no big deal. Yep. Then like obviously it starts to look more like you have the fences everywhere, cop cars. Like it looks like a war zone, and then obviously bad things happen.
I would go out to protect the peace, to see what was going on. I was, we went down and talked to the city. We're like, we need more police here, but it was just because, this Broadway Avenue, if nothing else, is defined as one of the main thoroughfare cross streets that you can get across White River. Like if you don't cross here, you got to go all the way up to 86th Street. You got to go all the way down to Kessler. So I mean, coming through Westfield, it's a main thoroughfare. So what it brings that we need that conduit through the city, and that brings the stagnant when it was closed down was just. It was a cesspool. So,
and I think a lot of people were like, let's close down Broadway Ave and make it a walking street only. And it's like, in theory, great idea. Yeah. But in logistics, horrible idea. Right. Yeah. Like you think Kessler's tough now. Like imagine with no Broadway Ave through street there.
No question. Yep.
It would be really, really hard. Now, could you make the side like the north-south streets or something? Like there's some stuff you could do.
Like Carrollton's of the world.
Yeah. I mean, and I think they did a little bit. I'm trying to think through COVID, like some of that.
Well, they took them down to one lane. It used to be 2 lanes, so they've taken it down to 1 lane, which I don't love. But it's at least it's still a throughput. So
and I wasn't that when people were talking about Broadway High School becoming the site for the Indy 11.
We were going to buy that and then make that our headquarters, and we could never get Hogsett to bite on it because it was it's bonded as education, and then. Saul Ostermeyer was going to make that the Indy 11. Again, they had the same problem with the educational bonding.
What does that mean?
They $30 million bond that was given by the city, but it's only directed to educational purposes. So to repurpose that, you had to have the mayor really just go to bat for it. And he's like, I'm not going to mess with it. It's IPS. He's like, that's a big constituency. I don't mess with it. Mm-hmm. So it's become now 2 schools. It's Broadway Middle School and Purdue Polytechnic. Which is, it seemed to be working.
Yeah, and I would say, I think that, because Purdue Polytechnic is growing. Yep. They were in that, is it now Montessori or whatever? And now they've kind of expanded a little bit, which is good. Yep. And it's good to see, they put new turf down on the football field. Like, it's good. Things are popping over there, which is good.
A couple wrestlers at semi-state?
They do.
They have at least one.
Polytechnic, I think they have one, at least one, which is good. You love to see that.
Here we go, yeah.
So then when you think about Broad Ripple, and I would say you are an influential figure around Indianapolis, but especially around Broad Ripple, right? What were the big conversations that you were hearing in your circles of like, hey, there's something broken here and we have to fix it?
I was playing the long game with the roads, and the murder was a big problem. Like we'd never had any murders here, like in 70 some years. So that was a big deal. If you talk to the IMPD, we are the most safe entertainment district in all of the city. It includes all of Marion County. That includes Mass Ave, downtown, anywhere. By far the safest anywhere. So, I knew it was going to come back around. I didn't know that we were going to have to totally repopulate it. So we've been really reaching out to the Butler folks, and we put a little Butler Bulldog out here on the side of our OPT's building for selfies reasons, and we're going to start marking. We'll get the people back. There is sprawl. Carmel. Fishers. You go up to Carmel and
Midtown Carmel.
Yeah, it's nice.
I hate to say it, but it's awesome.
It is. But we have some old school folks around here. If you think of the demographics of Broadway, it's sandwiched by a very affluent Williams Creek, Meridian Hills area. On the south, we get Butler, Tarkington, Meridian, Kessler, and then we have Sobro, which are all new families, all newlyweds and such. So it's really protected by a good nucleus of folks that's not going to go anywhere. Just kind of old school Indianapolis folks, and they've grown up around here, and they just don't really move. I mean, myself included. So I think that we're going to be pretty insulated. We just got to get folks from elsewhere in town.
And what ways are, like, whether it's BRVA or whoever the powers that be are, how are they thinking about getting people back into Broad Ripple?
Well, we're going to do some marketing. I mean, ultimately, it's as simple as beer specials, to Butler.
That's how you get those kids back.
So we're lacking a couple things right now. One, we need a couple casual dining or a couple fine dining. So we need a steakhouse or Asian fusion. I've been working on. I've been trying to get Cunningham or Craig Hughes to put something here. They've been really hesitant on that, but we have a couple things that are brewing out there. We've got the new Gershman 5-story office building here, has a very nice roughed-in fast casual. He's got some good prospects in there, and we'll have some folks coming in restaurant-wise. Now, Broad Ripple's always been known for boutiques. The boutique world has just kind of been crushed by the Amazon world. So that used to define us, the bookstores and the bridal shops and those kind of things. So those have kind of come and gone. But the bars and restaurants and the arts. So
who's the longest tenured thing in Broad Ripple? What is the longest tenured thing? Kimmel's?
Yeah, Kimmel's. Yes.
I walk by there and I'm like, how are they in business? Shoe repair? It's a shoe repair shop. Who's getting their shoes repaired?
The owner, that's been there for, God, my grandfather, who's been dead for, 15, 20 years, used to go there. There used to be a place next door called Ted's Barbershop. And the place next to that was Sasha's Watch Repair. And the place next to that was Hardwick's Pipe and Tobacco. And the people that own that building are 93. She lives in, Finkelstein's live in Vegas. So that building we need to work on that building.
I was going to say, that's the one, the facade of it facing Broadway. Is this
My goal was really Broad Ripple Avenue. I said there's stuff behind it, like Mount Audie's, through a beautiful restaurant on the backside there. We've got our old school stuff like Connor's and Canal Bistro off the canal. But if we can protect Broad Ripple Avenue, I think we're going to be in good shape. So
and the rest of that's going to grow. The biggest thing that Broad Ripple is missing right now, fine dining. Parking.
Yes. Yeah.
And anything else?
Those are the big two. We're working on the arts. I don't know if you know this yet, but we're putting a humongous, it just got approved, but we're putting a 50-foot, 70-foot sculpture at the corner of Broad Ripple Avenue in College. It's called Gavin. It illuminates. It's really big. Tag Burge, the guys from Burge and Held, have come in, and they've been really focusing on the arts here too. So
who's making the sculpture? Where's the sculpture at?
It's coming out of Florida, out of Miami. Some sculptor out of Miami. I'll have to show you the picture of it.
Okay.
I'm done with this, but it's
50 foot.
It's massive.
Okay.
Yeah, it's massive. It illuminates at night. You'll be able to see it as far north as Park Tudor probably. It should be interesting. So we need some arts here too. We need some other things besides getting hammered every night, right? We need reasons to come. Bring your dog here. Bring your babies here. I lived under Waldo where I started my company, and I used to push my kids in and pull them by wagon to, Einstein Bagels in the morning, or we go get breakfast somewhere. We need more of that kind of traffic.
Yeah, and I always say, the Sobro vibe of, you go to the Bulldog and it's good food. You go to a Half Liter and it's that locally owned kind of food. And I don't know, I feel like Broad Ripple Ave could use, Cholita's a really good spot.
Yeah, sure is.
Right?
Yep.
And it's I like Brothers, I like Kilroy's, but it's what you're getting there. And it's a chain and this, that, and the thing. Versus if it was Half Liter right here on the Monon, up here,
yep.
We need our version of Raskeller.
One thing I'm working on, the guy that owns King Jug, which is the new real hot space in Fishers, and he's also building one on Noblesville, but they brew all their beer behind Old Pro's table. He has $1 million in brewing equipment behind the Old Pro's table, and they brew 50 barrels a week out of right here on Broad Ripple Avenue that nobody even knows about. So, and
they don't have a spot on Broad Ripple Avenue.
So that's coming. That's coming as well. So that's up our sleeve. That would be cool. So
that would be super cool. Live music spot. Mm-hmm. Again, Clayton, I'm going to DM you, but we're going to
do it.
The Hoosier Honky Tonk.
I'm not sure I was supposed to say that yet, but here it is. So,
what's he going to do? Cool, man. All right, we're getting down to the end of the show. I do have a couple of fun things that I looked up. Did you once held a basement office day?
Well, I worked in my basement to start. Yeah.
So. Well, did you I feel like we looked up somewhere and it was hey, we want people to remember the beginnings. So we held a basement office day.
No, I don't know. That's probably lore.
Oh, is it lore?
Yeah,
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
What's your go-to spot when you're hanging out here in Broadway? Like, where are you spending your time at?
For breakfast, it's definitely the Alley Cat. They're one of the top secret awesome breakfasts in town. Steak and eggs, biscuits and gravy.
At Alley Cat?
Opens at 7. Yeah, the new Alley Cat.
Yeah.
They call it the pretty kitty. The old Alley Cat is the shitty kitty. And so they open another side, and they've really
And they do
done a nice
breakfast.
job. It's amazing. It opens at 7. Tell your people.
Alley
Go check it
Cat
out.
for breakfast?
Yes.
Steak and eggs?
Steak and eggs, Kincaid steaks. Yeah. So it's
Wow.
it's a hell of a steak deal. Broadway Tavern's close enough to us, so creature of ease. Most of my employees roll over there after work for a cold one, so I find myself there more times than not.
That's fair. Same. It's like right across the parking lot. Not too bad there.
Exactly.
What's a piece of advice that you got from an entrepreneur that has stuck with you till today?
You don't have to do it fast. It's gonna take care of itself. Don't hurry into it. Don't kind of wish it away. Like, one of my best role models is a guy named Dave Lindsay that started Defender Direct, and he rushed a company up to $550 million from his kitchen. And when I was coming up, and he was like, take your time. He's like, I'm already out. I'm going to sell my business, and I've got nothing else to do. He's like, enjoy the ride, basically.
The evolution of 811 Group, right? When you go from you're spinning up territories and handing them off to salespeople, what's taking up most of your mental capacity these days when you think about the company?
Protecting it. Don't get sued. Don't have class actions. Don't let AI destroy you. I mean, what keeps you up at night? Protecting what you got at this point, and making sure we have all our legal channels, making sure that if we have federal business that we're in compliance. Just stuff that's not that much fun anymore, but the things that make you worry as you get big. You want to protect and take care of all these folks that are working so hard for you.
I feel like you get up to 1,100 internal employees, and it's like, and that their jobs are based on other people going to work.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of lives at stake, paying a lot of people. That's also the great part about it these days is you get to see all these guys get married and have babies and raise families, and you're providing them a lifestyle, and it's really great to see, like, the Mahalas have babies and get married. That's cool.
Like, impacting lives. They're coming to work every day, getting paid to help other people get paid.
Yeah.
And I think people are like, oh, it's just recruiting, but it's like you're finding the right opportunity for someone that might be a huge pay raise, or like it impacts their life for sure.
Every time that they take their jobs too seriously, you're putting people to work. You're giving people opportunities to go work at Eli Lilly, to work at Cummins, to work at Roche, to work wherever they're working. Like, you're giving these guys opportunities they might not get on their own.
Another big staple of what you guys do is being active in not just our community, but also national foundations. From planting 50,000 trees is the plan there, to veterans that are transitioning into civilian work. Like, talk to me about
we in 2001 we decided to start a foundation. So we have something called the 811 Foundation. 3 tiers of our 811 Foundation are education, hardship for our internal employees, and then philanthropic community service. So education, we have 7 or 9 Providence Cristo Rey kids. So Providence Cristo Rey matches up perfectly with all 30 of our offices, 35 of our offices across the country. So we have kids from all the Providence Cristo Reys working.
Well, there are Providence Cristo Reys everywhere?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought they were just here.
No, they're national.
And for anyone that doesn't know, PCR is awesome. They do 4 days in school, 1 day at work.
Correct. So we have a kid. I think we have 3 across the street. But we have them in Minneapolis, Detroit, I think Jacksonville. So so that's our goal, is kind of expand that partnership. That said, our middle is premature deaths or IVF, things like that folks need in our company. We have a small bucket for that. And the big bucket is we give each of our offices their own money to have their own pet project or philanthropy in their markets. So we work with 35 different philanthropic organizations across the country, and they're all unique. So it's not like we work with United Way nationwide. It's like we work with the Tampa Bay Food Bank.
What's the Indianapolis one?
Well, we have a lot here.
That's fair.
I mean, we've done Wheeler. I know we work with Wheeler quite a bit. Boys and Girls Club is coming in, I think, next week. But I can't even itemize them all here. There's a lot here.
And that's cool, because every market probably has their own identity of the things that they're passionate about and care about, right? Because I know I was looking through and I thought that the Project Patriot was super cool, and the stuff you're doing.
Project Patriot's more of a business unit for us. It's more of a workforce management. So we actually go out and basically help place veterans when they come out of service into the field.
Okay.
So that's actually a money maker for us, or it generates.
So they're
money,
coming out, like, maybe they had 10 years or whatever in the service, and they were.
It's veteran placement, and some of these guys are unbelievable techies. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, they set up they'll set up a network in the middle of the desert in Iraq.
But maybe don't have like a certificate, right?
Correct,
Like don't have like a 4-year degree.
It's all military, and and most of them don't have degrees.
And it's like they know what they're doing.
Unbelievable, yeah.
Man, that's pretty cool. And being able to give them opportunities in the civilian side of things, I think it's
been great.
Again, you talk about it's just at the surface, it's just giving someone a job or whatever. But it's like you're impacting lives.
Correct.
I think that's super cool. And the idea that every market gets to kind of like link up with their own organization.
Gives them a sense of purpose.
Yeah. What's your favorite market to go visit?
Chicago's hard to beat. You go back to the roots. I mean, old Cincinnati days were great. I think of where I spent most of my time, and those are the first 5 or 6 offices. Seattle's a cool market for us. Our Denver office is awesome. It sits right in the base of Colorado Rockies Stadium. We share the parking lot with the Rockies.
No way.
So they have a lot of fun.
I think one of my friends works at the Denver office.
Yeah, a great leader there, Red Hall. He's fantastic.
That's sick.
Yeah, that's a fantastic office for us.
Share the parking lot with the Rockies.
Yeah, it's cool. So when they have
but here you share the parking lot with us.
They don't have exactly. See, I mean, yeah,
trade-offs.
It's bliss. Yeah. But when they don't have that many matinee games, unfortunately, in Colorado for some reason. But whenever they do, they have clients in the office and they walk over to the games together. It's cool.
That's super cool, man. One piece of what makes you guys great and the special sauce is this training, development, like get them young, hungry, willing to learn. You bring everyone into Indianapolis for 6 months?
Well, the Metasource folks do that. They come in. Theirs is a little different. Our Brook Source and our Cat Lady come in for only for a week, and then they'll come back for sales for a week. But then we have 32 weeks of ongoing training in our training center this year. So I say we hire them out of the colleges. We do that almost exclusively, and so we have to constantly retrain these folks. So we spend a ton of time on our training programs. We have 3 or 5 full-time trainers. And they're constantly bringing people in, and we spend a lot of time on them to get them up to speed. I mean, you think you got a 23-year-old selling to someone my age or your parents' age, and they've got $3 or $7 million budgets, and you got a 23-year-old kid going in and trying to ask them for their business and to trust and believe in them. They better know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, you got to be sharp.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
If there are other entrepreneurs out there that really want to prioritize learning and development of young talent, do you have any advice for them?
Don't let age be a factor. Like, just trust the youth. I mean, they can figure it out. They're always way more resilient than we were, no matter what age they are. So I would just trust them with everything and let them make some mistakes on their own, and they almost always respond.
In a time where people like to hate on the younger generation, say like they're not this, they're not that, like they're soft. Having people that understand the impact and the importance of you have to figure out how to give them the training, the things that they need to go out there and be successful, and they can figure it out.
Yep.
Amen. We've come to our younger years segment. So this question is brought to you by our friends at Orr Fellowship. They're a great organization here in Indiana, helping develop young business leaders across the state. So Ryan, what advice would you give to your 22-year-old self?
I don't know. Take some risks, I guess. I mean, do what I did. Luckily, I hate to sound immodest about it, but just take some risks early on before you have families, before you have spouses.
What were the conversations or the internal conversations that you were having leading up to taking this risk? I think that's the big, people get caught up on the idea of risk.
My dad worked for 35 years in corporate, and he was kind of forced into retirement. At that same time, I was kind of souring on my big corporate structure, and they were more of a profiteer and attrition shop. They had huge attrition rates, and I knew that we could do this business way better with a better culture. And so that kind of pushed my hand into doing this. At the time, my wife was had gainful employment, which helped me take a risk. And we made a bunch of money in our first 2 years and had no kids. So we had a pretty high risk tolerance at that point. But, if I would have started, 3 or 4 years later with a baby or 2, then that would have been a little trickier situation.
I think that the idea of staffing and recruiting kind of gets a bad rap because of those things you talk about, culture, attrition.
Yes.
That you come in with the promises like you can make $1 million next year.
It's the bluest of the white collar jobs because you're dealing with employment, you're dealing with people's feelings, you're dealing with disgruntled folks on they don't get paid. I don't get paid enough. I don't like my boss, and then you multiply that times 50 different work environments in a city because we're working with 50 different clients, let's say, and that just accelerates. So it's you have to have a lot of patience. But if you step back and you're like, hey, we're putting people to work, we're paying people, we're giving them a way to live their lives, that kind of takes all the rest of it away.
I was going to say, do you have one tip to build good company culture?
Try and make it fun. like however you can. I mean, think of staffing. Staffing sounds like no one graduated from college and say, I'm going to go into staffing. Like no one. Like guess what? What are you going to do when you grow up? How are you going to get in the staffing business? No one does that. So we're teaching almost everyone a brand new industry, which isn't always the most well received or recepted, and we have to make it fun. So whatever your job is, it can be trash or masonry, whatever. However you can make those jobs fun, just do your best to do that.
And I think staffing is set up well to be fun in the sense of there's scoreboards, right? Like scoreboards on the recruiting side,
Sure.
Scoreboards on the sales side, all that fun stuff. And you guys do a good job of like the rewards trips or the certain clubs and the tiers that you hit.
Right.
And it's like, oh man, it's prestigious to get your Rainmaker or your this.
Right.
Shout out to Mahela who just got hers.
Look at you now.
Dude, I do my research.
Our company culture.
I know a thing or two. Well, it helps when, one of my best friends is
Yeah.
like 5 years in.
Yeah,
Man, this is fun. These are the same 3 questions that I ask everyone who sits in the chair.
Okay.
First one, what's something the world needs to know about Indiana?
It's a great state. It's got great people. People care about everybody that comes here, no matter where they're from. And it's a great business climate. Come here, visit, move here.
Move here, absolutely. How many people do you have that come through, let's say the Metasource training, they end up coming to Indy for 6 months and are like, man, I don't want to leave?
We have a lot, actually. People come in, the ease of Indiana. I mean, if you come here from D.C. or you come here from Seattle, where it's just the congestion and the taxes and everything is just brutal, and they come here for 3-6 months, they're like, man, this is pretty cool. Like, we've had people actually come to train and stay, too. So we've had people come back. Like, it's kind of weird. We have people like asking to transfer back to our HQ. They're in like Nashville, and I'm like, "You going to Indianapolis?" Like that's. He's like, "Yeah, I love it there." I was like, "Okay, well, let's go."
Heck yeah, baby!
Yeah.
And then when the Hoosier Honky Tonk opens up down the
there
street,
you go.
boom,
Let's have some
new Broadway.
Honky Tonk Wars. Let's go.
Come on, let's do it. Next question: what is a hidden gem in Indiana?
You want to talk Newcastle semi-state? I'll say the Ice House, which is my favorite dive bar I think in the state.
The Ice House.
Oh, it's amazing.
Out in Newcastle?
Yeah. After the blood rounds, we'll take you there for a cold one. It's pretty solid. So many hidden gems, man. I mean, I'm up at Lake Wawasee. We have some great lakes in northern Indiana. Obviously, universities are fantastic. I'm a Hoosier, so I've got 2 kids down in Bloomington. So everything down there is awesome.
If there's
I
a
could go on
spot,
and on. I know the
if
state
there's
super well.
one spot where like someone from out of state was coming to Indiana and you were like, you need to check this out, or a spot even that you think not enough people know about.
I'm gonna say check out our lakes up north.
Yeah.
Wawasee, Maxinkuckee, South Bend. Go see Notre Dame.
I think that's a good one. Not a lot of people have said Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And it's like, I grew up just south of South Bend.
Yeah.
So it's like we've gone to several games, and Colts games are sick. It's it's loud, it's fun.
Yeah.
But the historic nature of Notre Dame.
Notre Dame's campus is gorgeous.
Dude, it's
and
insane.
It's unique. It's super Christian Catholic driven. They've got the grotto. They got the dome. I mean, they've got tons of unbelievable history in there. It's definitely worth a visit if you're coming to Indiana.
Final question for you. Who is a Hoosier that we need to keep on our radar? Someone who's doing big things.
Dan Hanrahan, how about that?
That's a good one.
He's special. You can do Quinn Ricker. He just sold the Ricker convenience stores, and now he started a jet access on the out at Executive. He bought and purchased 4 FBOs, fixed base operator where private jets flying in and out of.
That would be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, there's a guy named Scott Fitzgerald who owns Fitzmark. He's on his second company at 42. Purdue, Lebanon math major. He's got incredible story, but he's way under the radar.
Scott Fitzgerald.
Yeah, he would hate me sending his name out there. My friend Tony Noble just sold 102 Big Red liquor stores. He bought and sold those in a 5-year span and building the new 21C hotel downtown.
There we go. We'll look through some of them, man. Ryan, I appreciate you coming on, talking all things the journey through 811 and just Broad Ripple. And if we had to give parting words, right? So people out there listening, how can we do a better job of supporting Broad Ripple and building it back?
Well, I love what you're doing with this podcast, Nate, and what you're doing, bringing people even to the city, to the village. But that's really what we need to do is just get our foot traffic coming in here, bring people in, have events. We have rooftop events all the time. We have galas. The festivals, we're going to start with some more festivals. We're going to do a Oktoberfest here for our foundation coming in October. And then the BRV has a bunch of tastes of brought up on things like that are going to start appearing more and more often to get the foot traffic back and make sure everybody gets the warm and cozies about how good Broad Ripple is.
I love it. Thank you for all the work that you're doing, man. I think that Broad Ripple is going to be up and to the right for the next 5 years, and I'm excited.
question.
I have a house. I live like a mile away from here, so I'm
too.
excited, man.
Me too.
Just seeing people like take pride in your local neighborhood always pumps me up.
Yep.
Appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Nate.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Get In. If you like what you heard, make sure you leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. This show is made possible by our friends up at Sweetwater. Whether you're looking to start a podcast or take your content to the next level, click the link in the description to see all of my gear recommendations at sweetwater.com. If you want a behind-the-scenes look at everything we're doing across the state, make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Nate Spangle. Thank you so much for listening and being part of what makes the Hoosier State great. We'll see you next time here on Get In.